I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is Graded for Friday Night SmackDown, where I take a look at each show segment by segment and award each little bit of grade from A+ to F. Now, it's been a few weeks since I've covered SmackDown because obviously we had the Christmas break. I was doing Wrestle Kingdom reactions the other week, so Adam had to step in. So a lot of stuff's happened while I've been gone. I've sort of caught up with it. And tonight's episode, you know what? It's actually, yeah, it's alright. It's alright. So without any further ado, let's crack on with it. Hit the intro. So we start things off with Miz TV, and out comes the Miz. The crowd are sort of split for him after his actions last week, and he's like, you know what? I was just having a bad day. I'm not a dick, I promise. It was just a bad day. And Kofi just pushed me too far with his positivity bollocks, you know? He was just being all like, you know, keep your chin up and all this. So I just felt like hitting him in the face. So that's what I did. And it's just a bad day. Didn't mean it. He says that he's had a pretty rough month overall, obviously with The Fiend and everything that's been happening, but there has been one bright spot for him, and that is the return of Johnny Surnames, and out comes Morrison. So Miz shows a sizzle reel of all of John Morrison's just insanity, the unique offense style he's got, just sort of like a greatest hits little montage type thing for anybody that may not be familiar with John Morrison, and it's pretty impressive when you look back at it. The guy was really ahead of his time. Morrison though says, you know what, I'm not supposed to be here yet. I signed my deal, I was supposed to come back at the Rumble, I had a huge like t-shirt thing waiting to drop with the Rumble, there was going to be a massive like shocking return, but he saw what was happening to his friend and he couldn't let his friend go through what he was going through and just sit on the sidelines. So he sacked off all of that and he's back now. He says that he's disappointed by the WWE Universe, cue the boos, because they've turned their back on Miz and they're having a go at him just because he had one bad day, you know? Just one bad day. Any Batman fans will know that one bad day can turn you into a nutter. So it doesn't really fly with me, Morrison. It doesn't really fly with me. But very quickly after Morrison starts running them down, they're cut off by the New Day. Out comes Kofi. Kofi and Miz go backwards and forwards, with Kofi accusing Miz of turning back into the old annoying Miz. He's like, man, you've changed. A match is then set up between Kofi and Miz for after the break, and I'm only going to give this a C+. It just felt really odd that this would be Morrison's return to a WWE ring, like just to sit down. I know that him and Miz have history, but I was really thinking first off when he was saying the Rumble thing, I was like, why don't you just do that? That sounded perfect. But yeah, I don't know, it felt a bit like of a disconnect for me anyway, that Morrison's return to the ring was a talk show segment. But anyway, we come back from the break and we have Kofi Kingston versus The Miz, and it's worth noting that John Morrison and Big E are both at commentary. So Kofi takes charge early on, he's just feeding Miz a series of strikes and keeping him firmly on the back foot. Miz eventually takes charge, but Kofi's able to dump him to the outside. He first fakes a dive, and then when Miz gets a little bit comfortable, he nails him with a dive, and then when Miz gets back to his feet, he throws Kofi into Big E, and this leads to a bit of an argument between all four guys going into the commercial. When we come back from the break, both men are in the ring, they both look exhausted, but Kofi seems to be the one in charge. I mean, he hits a boom drop, he's able to go for a Trouble in Paradise, but The Miz quickly counters it. There's then a figure four with Kofi just barely making it to the ropes, and then there's like a weird disconnect. Kofi like crawls out of the ring to just sort of recuperate for a few seconds. Big E's there on the outside. Miz shoves Big E away with his foot. He just sort of like gently kicks him out of the way. Big E then gets in Miz's face. Miz is sort of like, whoa, don't come near me, don't come near me, don't touch me. And then Morrison manages to sort of step up onto the ring steps and hit that, you know, the signature style of his, the crazy flippy stuff. He hits this like rolling cannonball, just like a step up thing onto Big E, lands on his feet like a superhero, of course, and the crowd obviously go a little bit mental. Kofi, however, is in the ring distracted, and this allows Miz to hit the skull-crushing finale to pick up the win. I'm going to give this match a B. It's sort of exactly what you'd expect out of a Miz versus Kofi match, but at the same time it was entertaining. They're the type of guys where I think you could put them in a match every single week, and 9 times out of 10, there's going to be at least one part of the match where you're like, whoa, that was new, that was fresh, that was interesting. It was actually, after my bitching and moaning, it was cool to have Morrison involved in a physical way, and I can't wait to see this little feud bubble up moving forward. We then go to Firefly Funhouse, and this one is sort of just Bray on his own, and Bray tells us to come here. He's like, come here, I've got a secret to tell you. And he's like, I love you. And then he tells us that love is a special thing, but not everybody is deserving of love. In fact, Daniel Bryan, he's not deserving of love, and he hates, like he says, the opposite of love. He, the opposite of loves the WWE Universe. He says that Bryan is in trouble at the Rumble. He says that he just wanted to sort of make him remember what he did, that he wanted to change him. But now that Bryan's coming for the belt, well, he's going to have to interfere, and he is going to have to teach Bryan a lesson. He says Bryan wants the belt, but he just wants to hurt him. I'm going to give this one a B+. It was great. It was great as always. They're always great, but they're sort of hard to grade because, like, they're always so good. So I've decided now, moving forward, that I'm going to take into account, like, production level. So this was just Bray on his own, being amazing, fine, but, like, we're used to sort of seeing the puppets and some more stuff. This was just a very straightforward one, so B+. We then go to Fire and Desire backstage. Sonya's telling Mandy, you know, I'm going to be in your corner for your match. I'm going to be there. I'm going to have your back. You're going to win. It's going to be amazing. And Mandy's just distracted. She's sort of getting dressed and she's got this cake box and she's like, I'll do you head down. I'll meet you down there. And she's like, I've got something to take care of. And she opens this cake box. You don't see what's inside, but she opens it, she looks at it, and she sighs. And then we go to Elias in the ring, who, you know, Elias's usual shtick, except this time he's taking aim at the Royal Rumble. I've got a quick list of things here that he name checks. The song is called Road to the Rumble. He shoots down Reigns winning the Rumble. He shoots down everybody else, including AJ, Randy, Ricochet, Rowan. He makes a joke about Alana and Lashley's sex tape. He shoots down Lesnar being absent, and he says that he's going to take the belt from Lesnar after he wins the Rumble. Quite weird, because you're sort of expecting him to get cut off, but no, it just goes through. Elias actually got a full performance in for once. It was actually quite nice. And then we go backstage again, but this time it's Heavy Machinery, and they're sort of getting in the zone. Tucker's sort of running through match stuff with Otis, and he's like, yeah, you know, just keep your head in the game. And then Mandy appears and Tucker's like, oh man, just come on, focus on the match, don't worry about her. And he's just like not having any of it. So she apologizes for allowing Ziggler to stamp on Otis's mom's fruitcake, and she's like, I know that it's not the same and I'm sorry that that happened. It was so disrespectful. It was disrespectful to you, it was disrespectful to your mom, so I have made this cake for you. She's like, it's probably not going to be as good, but I made it. And she opens it up and it's just a fruitcake. It says, I'm sorry. It's got like a little bulldozer on it. And Otis is sort of overjoyed. She leaves and Tucker's just like, oh, for God's sakes, I just want to plan the friggin' match. We then go to the ring for Alexa Bliss with Nikki Cross against Mandy Rose with Sonya Deville. So Mandy takes it straight to Alexa, just laying in strikes before verbally running her down. She's the usual stuff. It's like, you think you're better than me? You'll never be as good as me. I'm a schoolyard bully, blah, 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 wacky, wacky finger, and then just slap. Alexa snaps. She's had enough of it, drives her into the corner. I like this here because it put Mandy in sort of a phase of shock, like she couldn't believe she was getting attacked like this, and so she sort of burst forward herself, full of anger, but Alexa just allowed her to foolishly step into reversal. So she'd just drop toe holder, she'd wait for her to get up, she was like in perfect position for this move, then that move, and it was just like Alexa was outsmarting her. She was like one step ahead the whole time. There's a bit with Bliss driving Mandy to the outside. Sonya nearly interferes, but Nikki sort of pulls her away, and then we go back just sort of straight in the ring for more back and forth. Bliss looks like she's gearing up to put it away, but then Heavy Machinery's music hits and out they come. Sort of Tucker is at the back. Otis is walking down with the cake. The cake's open. He's like eating it. And Tucker's like, come on, man, let's go back. Like, what are we doing? We shouldn't be out here. Almost like just sort of like he's really, really trying to keep control of him, but he can't. So obviously they're heading down the ramp. Alexa Bliss is like, what the hell is going on? She's trying to sort of wrestle, trying to keep an eye. Like, she's very clearly distracted here. This allows Mandy to just roll her up for the 3. Now, I know this was sort of less a match, more an angle, or less a match, more like a route to an angle, or like a route to a little bit more storyline, but I'm still going to give it a B-, as this is my favorite developing story for quite some time. But Mandy Rose, I swear to God, you better not be, you know, stringing my boy Otis along and allowing him to think that you're like in love with him, for him to keep coming out and distracting your opponents, and you're just going to use him as a means to get quick, cheap, horrible victories. Because if you break his heart, I don't think anybody will ever forgive you. I think everybody will try and hunt you down, and everybody will want to end you. You can't do Otis like that. Please don't hurt Otis. We then head back to the ring for Lacey Evans versus Sasha Banks. Out comes Lacey, usual shtick, and then Sasha's music hits and she's nowhere to be seen. In fact, halfway through the track, like, Lacey starts looking around, she's like, she's gonna jump me from behind, and then Bayley appears on the Tron, music cuts dead, and Bayley's like, you know what? Sasha was gonna come here to this hole in the middle of nowhere and wrestle you tonight, but she got a call from LA and she's out there finishing her rap album. So here's a term you'll understand: she's gone AWOL. Lacey tells Bayley, well, you know what, like, I am not like Sasha Banks. I am proud to wrestle in front of crowds in small town America. This is the heart of America. Obviously huge USA chants, because you know what you like, America. Anybody says anything positive, you can't help but break out in a chant. This all culminates though with Bayley saying, you know what, I'm not gonna come down there, because Lacey's like, come on, come and wrestle me, you're in the building. She's like, I'm not coming down there, I'm not your snot-nosed little kid, you can't tell me what to do, see you later. Lacey goes backstage, Bayley jumps her, there's a bit of back and forth. Bayley like tells her to go home and put on her mom jeans, which was just really weird. And then eventually, after Lacey sort of fights back, Bayley slinks away. And I'm actually, despite the fact it was super short, I'm gonna give this a B. It was sort of great. It was perfect for Lacey's character. It was great promo from Bayley. It didn't feel forced. Like, she feels like she had some like proper gusto behind her this time. Usually she just seems like she doesn't really want to be there, which is, I get that she's that type of heel, but it just, I don't think it works as well as this type of heel. Like, I think Bayley is better when she's being a bit of an asshole. So like, yeah, more of that, please. And it was an interesting way to do like this match without it being the match we've already seen 100 times. We then go backstage to Daniel Bryan, who's being interviewed, and it's like, you know, what do you think about what Bray Wyatt said? And he's like, well, you know, the Fiend seems to want a lot. He wants me to remember. He's like, well, of course I remember being in the Wyatt family. I remember outsmarting the Wyatt family. That's something he probably doesn't want to remember. He's like, yeah, the Fiend wanted to change me. The Fiend did change me, but he changed me for the better. And that's another thing that he didn't want. Now he's like, well, the Fiend wants to hurt me. Well, he might be able to hurt me physically, but he's never going to hurt me up here. And that destroys him inside. They're then cut off though by Ramblin' Rabbit, who appears and he's like, Bryan, come here. He's like, I've got a secret I can tell you that'll help you defeat the Fiend if you just sort of like, I'll tell you it now. And then Bray's hand comes down with the hurt glove on and just gently strangles him to death. And then we go back to the ring for our next matchup, which is Braun Strowman versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a non-title match. So this one starts with Strowman throwing Nakamura around like a rag doll. He just beats him down and beats him down until Sami Zayn pulls him out of the ring to save his bacon. When Braun follows them out the ring though, Cesaro shoves him into the ring post, and then Nakamura is able to drive him into the timekeeper's area. Once we come back from the break, it's very clear that Nakamura is in charge. He's just grinding Strowman down until he tries to come off, I think it's like the second rope. Strowman just catches him in a chokeslam position, drops him, and like just lays him out with this massive clothesline. He almost even gets the 3 here off a massive clubbing blow to the chest, but it doesn't quite go through for him. And as we get toward the end of the match, everything seems lost. Nakamura is able to connect with a pair of running knees, and then Sami and Cesaro try to interfere again. This doesn't work though. Cesaro tries to get in the ring with a chair, like the obvious bait. The referee's dealing with Cesaro. Sami is sort of like just not that helpful at all. He throws Nakamura the belt. Nakamura goes for a belt shot. Braun ducks it, hits him with the running power slam, and picks up the 3. Braun Strowman is the new #1 contender for the Intercontinental title. I'm going to give this one a B. I am a big fan of the Clash of Styles match. I like guys like Braun, you know, once in a generational style, massive guys, just absolute brutes, you know, your Big Show types, your Andre types, just huge, scary blokes against more like technical wizards. I like that sort of thing, like David versus Goliath, and I like the fact that Braun is going after this mid-card title. I'd like Braun to hold this belt for a while if he is able to get it, because I'd like Nakamura to sort of shed this little weird club he's in with Zayn and really get elevated, but you know, I think I'm going to be dreaming if I think that's going to happen for a long time, but we'll see. But as for the match itself, it was super entertaining, both men delivered, and I can't wait to see the follow-up. Sheamus then cuts a promo on short people and Shorty G in particular, and I didn't quite catch all of it, but I sort of like wrote it down from memory, and it went a little something like this. So he said, short people got no reason, short people got no reason, short people got no reason to live. They got little hands and little eyes, and they walk around telling great big lies. They got little noses and tiny little teeth. They wear platform shoes on their nasty little feet. Well, I don't want no short people. Don't want no short people. Don't want no short people round here, fella. And after that, we have a little promo with Daniel Bryan going into his locker room, and there's a red gift just sort of nicely wrapped and waiting for him on this table. He opens it up very slowly, very carefully, and inside is the corpse of Ramblin' Rabbit. And then out comes Roman Reigns. He gets on the mic and he says 2019 was a rough year. Rough? Get it? 'Cause dogs, rough. Oh God. He talks about needing help, but not just any help. He needs the help of his family. He says that with his family, he's gonna win the Rumble, he's gonna do his 5th WrestleMania headline match, he's gonna win the title, and 2020 is gonna be Roman Reigns' year. He says he's gonna do all of this with the help of his family, the Usos, and right on time, out they come. They get in the ring, they get on the mic, and they're like, it's been rough for us these past 5 months too. It sucked being on the sidelines, but it sucked harder being on the sidelines and watching Queen Corbin disrespect our family. Get it? Queen Corbin, because it's King Corbin, and if you refer to him as Queen Corbin, it's going to make him upset. They are then, of course, again, right on time, cut off by Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler, who come out. Corbin's like, Roman, I can't believe how scared you are. You are about to just pawn off the beating I was going to give to you onto your family. So fair enough, let's do it. I will beat down these 2 little bitches. Oh, and he also says that he's going to win the Rumble, but I didn't really think it was important to mention that because everybody says they're going to win the Rumble. It's January. I am going to win the Royal Rumble. There you go. And then we go to our main event of the night, which is the Usos against Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. Roman Reigns has pissed off to the back. Corbin and Ziggler eat some abuse before finally taking charge, managing to grab Jey Uso and isolating him in their corner. He gets painstakingly close to Jimmy a few times, but eventually he's able to get the hot tag. Jimmy comes in and absolutely cleans house. The crowd are loving it. However, Jimmy goes up the top rope for a splash, and as he's sort of steadying himself before he stands up, the Revival's music hits. This causes a distraction. Corbin is able to shove him to the floor below, and we go into commercial break. Roman's music then hits. Out comes Roman. Roman just, evens the odds on the outside. We go to break again. When we come back, things are back in the ring. Things have started to calm down. So both Usos have got things under control until Jimmy goes for a dive to the outside. Corbin catches him and plants him into the ring steps. This is followed very quickly with Jey being driven into the ring post, so both Usos are pretty much out of commission. Corbin then, with both Usos down, turns to Roman Reigns, who's now at ringside, obviously there to back up his cousins, and he starts giving Roman a load of abuse. I think he might slap him. Roman snaps. Roman sees red, and he nails him with a spear. The match is immediately thrown out. Roman has cost his cousins the victory. Roman's just laying it into Corbin. He sets him up for a powerbomb into the announce table, but then returning Robert Roode, jumps the barricade, beats Roman down, and then Roman is sort of planted. I think it might be a spine buster onto it or something. He's just sort of planted onto the announce table, and then Ziggler gets on, hits an elbow, and puts him through it. They then pile all of the stuff on top of him like he did to Roode. It's sort of a nice cyclical end to that little bit of revenge. And I'm going to give this a B, despite the fact that it was sort of a short, weird little match. Again, more of an angle than a match. It was nice. It was entertaining. I love that Roode returned and got his revenge on Roman, even though he's a dastardly little bastard heel. I love that it was Roman that lost his cool. Roman tends to be the guy who's just sort of no, he's sort of the guy that doesn't do that. But no, he lost his cool. He flipped out. He struck Corbin. He gave Corbin pretty much everything that he wanted. Loved seeing the Usos back in action, and I thought the Revival were used really well here as well. They just looked like sniveling little heels. So in terms of an overall grade for SmackDown this week, I'm going to give it a B. We're hotting up on the way to the Rumble. We're kicking into gear. Things are falling into place. Everything's just falling in line nicely. It's just one of those rare weeks where everything's just sort of good. Everything's just sort of all right, straightforward. And I think things are just going to only continue to ramp up in intensity over the coming weeks. We had Morrison return. It was sort of an odd return, and then he hit Biggie on the outside, which was really cool. We obviously had Roman losing his cool, which I loved. And we had Roode, which, again, it's sort of weird because it was at that point of the match where I was like, this is it. He's going to hit him with that, and then we're going to have a big stand tall, and that's it. And no, he just jumped the barricade and was like, Christ, I completely forgot about this. This is great. So that's all falling back into place quite nicely. And I like being blindsided by something that I wasn't anticipating. But yeah, as I said, everything seems to be ramping up. We seem to be in a really good position right now. So hopefully next week can continue this trend. But this has been SmackDown Graded. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.